evening. It is 5 o'clock and we are going to get going. We are pretty excited. I don't know if the buzz has sort of increased in your households at all, but around here they come down with questions every day, it seems, which is great because we want them to answer questions and make sure they're totally informed with what's going on. And so tonight's meeting it really will just be to clarify our itinerary for each day. It will be to introduce Corey Hilliard, who is with Tri-State Travel, and he's who we've been working with to set this trip up and get everything ready to go. Introduce you to your chaperones, provide questions about medication, because that's kind of a specific piece of information that we have not yet shared. And I'm really intending to leave the bulk of the time today to question and answer. And so we'll have some students that will have microphones, and we'll kind of come around when we get to that portion. We would ask you to speak into the microphone so that the folks who are listening at home or also going to be watching this after the fact can hear all of the questions and then the ensuing answers. And then I will also post this slide presentation for all of you to go back through with a super fine-tooth comb. Please don't do that. If needed. So without further ado, we're just going to kind of jump in. I will pause here and there just to see if I'm being clear with what I'm trying to present to you all, and then we'll just continue to move on. So if you have a question that comes up that's like super pertinent to what we're talking about at the time, certainly feel free to ask, but then also, again, we're leaving the bulk of that time towards the end for questions. All right. So prior to departure, one of the things we want to make sure, obviously, is settling all of your accounts with Tri-State Travel. That can be done online through the website that we have been using since the onset of this. Tomorrow, there will be a sign-up, students, for the bus lists. And I'll talk a little bit about the bus here in just a second, but we'll need you to sign up your name. Okay? I don't want Carver Reese's handwriting with 17 people's names. Got it? Okay. Please take the responsibility to sign yourself up so that we know you are on the bus of your choice. Once I take the lists down and I type them, they are permanent, and you do not move buses. That bus is your bus all trip long. You don't bump back and forth unless there's like some major issue that we need to deal with. Students, you should also be speaking with your teachers, starting like now, about anything that you might be missing homework-wise or schoolwork-wise before you leave in a week from this coming Sunday. That is your responsibility. Please take that responsibility seriously and make sure you're checking in with your teachers about what you might be missing. And then it's not too early to start your packing strategy now. The first post that I made this week on Classroom and that I also sent out through email is by no means an extensive list of what one might want to pack, but it gives you at least a launching point to decide what you need individually. A couple of things to point out on that. Number one, we don't have a formal event where like kids have to dress up and like shirt and tie it or anything like that. So as you're planning that is not a necessity. And then obviously all families should be checking in on some sort of weather site and when we get into next week to look at that extended forecast. It is not Iowa down there from what I'm told. And us lily white Iowans are going to be, and I'm going to say this probably 48,000 times tonight, is like sunscreen is going to be like the biggest must of all time. And I'm going to sort of like couch that in the idea that many of you are going to be going to prom the week after we get back, and I'm pretty sure that like, raccoon-eyed type of like picture in prom dress is not necessarily what you want, okay? Or like your prom date with like a big old like sun blister on his forehead. We don't want that. So you're going to hear that over and over again over the course of the next several days, and then when we get down there, that we simply just need you to be thinking about that. You're probably going to tan up, even if you do apply sunscreen every couple hours. Like, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Unless your name is Jenna, then you're just going to go red and white and red and white. And it's kind of a thing with her, so that's okay. So that is prior to departure, things that you could be doing now and making sure that those items are taken care of. Also prior to departure, if your child takes prescription medication, I will be putting forms up here at the edge of the stage at the end of the evening. You may grab one. One of them is an information page, sort of just like kind of what the procedure is going to be. The other form is a form that will list prescription medication that your child takes. In general, this is how I've been told that this should work, and then I'm going to tell you that all of the other questions should go to Angie Jess, okay? If it's an over-the-counter medication, we want to know about it, but it can stay with the child. Boss, did I say that right? Okay. If it's a prescription medication, we need to know about it, and it is very likely, with some exceptions, that it will stay with us and we will administer, okay? When you fill this form out and return it back to the health office, they will look through the form and they will be in contact with you about any sort of specific thing. Some of those medications that might qualify that can stay with the child, even if they are prescription medication. I think of like birth control, for example, would be one of those perhaps where that can stay with the child, even though that is a prescribed medication, okay? I can't really and don't feel comfortable answering any other medication questions, so when in doubt, fill it out. Addie, you liked that one, didn't you? Okay. So if you're unsure, fill out the form. Take one of each of these papers at the end of the night, fill out the form, and then Angie Jess will let you know, yeah, this is your situation and this is what you should be doing, okay? Okay? So we can start turning those forms into the medical health office Monday. Take the weekend to kind of get it all straightened out, and then send that form in on Monday. Okay? All right, the computer went to sleep up there, kind of just like Sam in the back row. So we're going to get that logged back on real quick. But we will also have medical kits that we will carry, the chaperones will carry with us. In those medical kits, we will have ibuprofen, Tylenol, Benadryl. We will have like Band-Aids, gauze, the types of things that a kid might run into. I have a blister on my foot type of stuff. We will be explaining in a little bit how a kid is going to get in touch with us if they need something, but those are the types of things that we'll have. So if you're okay with your child getting that stuff, that's great. If you're not, please let us know, just so that we're closing the gap on anything like, I don't want my child taking ibuprofen, so if Tommy comes up and asks me, I can say, yeah, Mom said no, right? So just let us know, hey, don't give my kid any medication, that's fine. An email to Miss Jess and myself would be fine on that, okay? Also, in addition to, and I've said this before, I told you I was going to say it, sunscreen. Like, please make sure that you bring your own personal, whether it's the spray, whether it's the lotion, whether it's both, just please have that on you at all times. Carry it with you everywhere. That way you can just reapply, set the alarm for you forgetful children. Well, it's time to do that. And then also, you may want to send with your child like a lotion if they do end up getting a little bit crispier than they would have liked. Then they can apply that lotion in the evening to alleviate a little bit of that discomfort. Okay? Again, specific medication questions, please contact Angie. This is her school phone number up here, so if you'd like to take a picture of that number for your reference now, that would be fine. Again, if you're unsure, just go ahead and fill it out, and then she'll be in contact with you to say, yep, this is something we need to hang on to, or nope, your kiddo can just go ahead and hang on to that. Pause. Okay. Your chaperones, myself, Mr. Gomez. Stand up. Stand up? No, I'm kidding. Mrs. Thompson. Right here. Miss Helmick. Are you in the room? Miss Helmick, our theater director, could not be here. And then Mrs. Seacrest, who Many of you know through Strawberry Hill and also one of the churches in town here will be the 5 chaperones. We will be, these will be your room check people. They will be your go gather and get information from your chaperone people, and they will be the people that generally are going to be providing you with lots and lots of information, and you will be also being asked to check in with them while we are at the parks. So for example, Bree Howard is assigned to Mr. Ely. So sorry, drew the short straw. I'm not even sure if that's real, but let's just go with it, okay? Mr. Ely will let all of his people know. Ely's Eeyores, by the way, I went ahead and labeled everybody's Eeyores a character. Paige, am I going too quick for you? Gomez's Gastons. Do you like that one? What do you think, huh? Helmic's Hercules's. I couldn't really. H is tough. I'm not gonna lie. H was hard. Thompson's Tiana's. Again, it's T. It's, I don't know, whatever. And Seacrest's Snow Whites. That's one of my favorites, actually. So anyway, thank you. You're welcome. So, for example, we'll message out and say, hey, it's Magic Kingdom Day at 1 o'clock. Meet me at the carousel. And it can literally be a walk up. Mr. Ely, here I am. I'm still alive. Awesome. Great. Go have fun. Just a check in. And as we check in, do you have enough money to eat the rest of the day? Do you have a headache? Do you need anything? What questions do you have? That type of thing. And that's what those check-ins are for, okay? Now, within reason, obviously if I'm standing in line at Thunder Mountain and I'm not getting out of line to go meet Mr. Ely, he's important but not that important, then that's fine. Message me back, let me know you'll be there, and I'll wait for you. That type of thing, okay? All of the chaperones will generally meet in the same area. So come by, check in with your person, and then you're off on your way, okay? You will find out if you're an Ely's Eeyore tomorrow. It's like a drum roll, okay? All right, our traveling abode. We are taking two 56 passenger motor coaches from Tri-State Travel. They have lots of nice amenities, but they are your travel abode for our entire trip. What does that mean? It means that everything that goes in the bus stays with the bus. Let your mind wander a little bit on that one, kids. If it goes in the bus, stays on the bus. So you have to be courteous and responsible to everybody that is involved on that bus. Please respect those around you. At nighttime, we will have one last stop before we kind of push overnight, and then we will separate the buses by genders so that we can take the overnight hours and get lots of sleep, right? Accept it. Deal with it. Okay? Moving on. On Saturday, the day before we leave, we are asking all travelers to drop their luggage off in the atrium at between the hours of 5 and 5:30 p.m. That's so that we can check those for everybody's safety. There will be 2 areas designated in the atrium, a bus 1 area and a bus 2 area. And then within those areas, male and female. Place your suitcase, just your suitcase, in the corresponding area. A chaperone, one of the 5 of us, will check those bags, and then we will lock that area down when we leave that evening. Those suitcases, only the suitcases, will stay in the atrium overnight, and then students will load them up Sunday morning when they arrive to get on the bus. Okay? We will check carry-on items before they arrive onto the buses on Sunday morning, so they'll come with all of their supplies, and we will check those. We'll get them on the buses, and then we will send them back into the atrium to load their suitcases. Okay? We are 100% behind everybody's safety and security, and so that's why we're just going to go through those bags to make sure that no one made a mistake in loading something they shouldn't, and that we all know that we can rest easy knowing that this is going to be a great trip for everyone, and that no one is placed in an awkward position because something ended up on the trip that really probably shouldn't have been there. Okay? Carry-ons, as I mentioned, will be checked on Sunday before you board. Our itinerary. Now, I know this is the part that I'm probably going to speed through just a little bit because I want to make sure that we leave plenty of time for questions. So we're going to take a breath. And here we go. Sunday. That you read that correct. Don't laugh. And don't be loud when you come up at 6:15, like really, no. 6:15, be here by 6:15 so that we can start the process of checking carry-ons. The buses will arrive at 6:30 and we will begin loading at that time. And then that is a travel day. So all day Sunday we are traveling. We will stop for lunch and dinner on the way. My recommendation from my post earlier in the week, have something with you that you can eat for breakfast or when you wake up from going back to sleep, more than likely. And then when we stop for lunch and dinner, those 2 meals are on the student's own. There will be one final stop, as I mentioned earlier, and that's where you will brush teeth. I can't imagine any of you are going to wear like jeans and a t-shirt on the bus, so whatever you're comfortable in and whatever you need to change in, that is what you would change into at that point, and then we will push overnight. There will be a driver change, I believe somewhere around 4 a.m. In Marion, Georgia, excuse me. That is not a student offload. So if you're awake and you find that we are suddenly stopping, you're not getting off the bus at that time. We are just changing drivers so that we can continue to push forward and get to our first destination, which is Stetson University, which is outside of the Orlando area. These times are relative to when we arrive, so they may slightly change, but at about 8 a.m. the choir will have a clinic with Dr. Tim Peter. At that time, the band students will have sort of a tour of campus, and then we'll flip-flop. And we're doing it that way because we have so many kids that double up with band and choir. We have several theater students that will be joining us on the trip as well. Those folks can pick one of the ensembles to kind of tag along with and listen to, and then take their tours of campus at that time. We leave Stetson University and head directly to the Hollywood Studios, Disney Hollywood Studios. We will provide the students with their meal voucher at that time as they deboard the bus. And then it's go have fun time. We'll do a few check-ins, there's rides, there's attractions, there are little shows that can be seen. These are all up to students in terms of what they do. I've gotten this question a lot. Do we have to stay with our crusty old chaperone? They haven't asked it that way, but that's what their eyes are telling me. And the answer is no. However, I will be very, very particular about this, a minimum of 3 people per group traveling around the park. No one flies solo. Okay, Nicole, too bad. You can ride on the Millennium Falcon with me if you need to. Sounds fun, doesn't it? So please keep that in mind. Now, the other thing about that is it does not need to be the same people you room with. So you're rooming with persons 1, 2, and 3, but you want to hang out with persons X, Y, and Z. That's fine. But you're not hanging out alone in a park. Not cool, not going to happen. We see that happening, you're with one of us the rest of the day. And then we'll figure out a plan for you moving forward. Okay? We check into the hotel at the end of the evening. I have the hotel address and telephone number here. I will also copy and paste that and send it out so parents, you have an idea of where we're at. According to Corey, that is a 2-minute walk from Old Town Kissimmee and about a 5 to 10 minute drive to the parks. So we're in a really great location, just recently remodeled 2 years ago. I think you'll find that it's very comfortable, and we're not really there a whole lot anyway. So it's a good place to lay your little head down and go night-night. And it's a good place for us to kind of get some downtime in the middle of the week, which we'll see in just a bit. Day 2, breakfast at the hotel. This is not an option. You've already paid for it. Don't skip it. It's not a waffle and a stale muffin either, okay? It is a buffet breakfast, eggs, bacon, etc., 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 okay? So take advantage of it. Your chaperones will come to your rooms at the end of each day and give you the following day's itinerary. And that will include wake up and be downstairs for breakfast at XYZ time. They will also say set 7 reminders on your phone to wake up. And then we will also come around and knock and say get out of bed. We will tell you when we are leaving. I'm not a very patient man, so if you're not downstairs and on the bus when we're ready to leave, you're going to get to know our hotel really well. You're being asked to be responsible young men and women. We're not going to leave your child in a hotel by themselves. But we need you to know that 90 other people are going to be waiting on you, and that might become slightly uncomfortable for you if you're not responsible about when you need to be, where you need to be. Okay? So we will be clear with you. We will give you all the information you need. Each night we check you into your room, and then it's lights out. You wake up the next day, and we have a great time. So far, so good? We're off to Magic Kingdom. We drop you off. You receive a second voucher for the Magic Kingdom on that day. Lots of rides and attractions, periodic check-ins with us. End of the evening fireworks show. That will be our indicator that we are heading back to the buses. And then we go back to the hotel. We room check, and we go nighty-night. Okay? Questions so far? Day 3, Wednesday. Breakfast at the hotel. Yum, yum, give me some. Beach day, so we will depart for Cocoa Beach, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is on the Atlantic side of Florida. We will be there a large portion of the day. We will have a catered barbecue lunch on the beach for lunch. That is part of your trip cost. And then we will return to the hotel. You'll have time to clean up. Perhaps some of you will want to swim at the hotel. And this is kind of where we'll have a couple of different options. We can have folks stay and hang out at the hotel if they'd like, or this is when we could walk to downtown or Old Kissimmee. I see Old Kissimmee and I think like Old Vegas, but I don't really think that's what it is, moms and dads, so don't worry about that. It's like shopping, fair rides, some meal options, and that's a dinner meal on their own at that point. Okay? Bed checks and nighty-night one more time. Okay? We will also talk about this night on Wednesday the 13th about making sure they start to pack their suitcases because they will be loading them the following morning to get back on the buses, and then those suitcases are inaccessible once they get to the bottom of the bus. Okay? Friday, we have our final breakfast at the hotel, which is included. We check out and get those suitcases under the buses. They are no longer accessible. Everything students are going to need on the final day is going to have to be in their carry-ons or backpacks, which will be with them on the buses. We arrive to Epcot. We will spend the day there. They will once again get a voucher for a meal, and I went too far, and then we begin to depart and go back home. Similarly to our drive down, we will make stops along the way. One final stop before the overnight where they can change, and we'll separate everybody out. The following day is a full day travel. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way again. Full day of travel with meals at the student's expense. And we arrive back home approximately 10 to 10:30 p.m. on Friday evening with a head full of memories of a really great trip. So your summary is here. I'm not going to read this to you all. This is what's included in your trip. And now we come to the portion where I would like to just leave things open to ask questions. And I think the easiest way to do this is start with sort of a topic, and then that allows folks to ask those questions. And when they aren't completely randomized, we can kind of group all those questions together. So the first question, or the series of questions that I'd love to be able to field for you, would be around anything to do with packing, suitcases, what goes on the bus, what should we not bring our child. And I'm going to ask, I've Drew, and it looks like Tyler? No, Grayson and Ike are going to come around with microphones. And again, this is everybody's favorite part. Nobody likes to speak into a microphone. But we're simply just going to ask, if you do have a question, raise your hand. One of them will run swiftly, walk swiftly to your location, give you the mic so you can ask the question, and I'll take an opportunity to answer. I believe we have one right down front already. Thank you. It's on its way. Coming up behind you, not to startle you. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I just had a question about when we bring meds. Is that with the suitcases or is that with the carry-ons?
That will be on the morning we depart with their carry-ons. And then Mrs. Thompson will be our med distributor. There is an actual course that needs to be taken in order for meds to be distributed safely and appropriately, and so she will be the person who will be distributing. So you can send those meds with your child the morning of. We also recommend and require they have to be in the original bottles with the prescription name on it, and then just send what they're going to need for the trip. So if we need one every day, send as many as they'll need, leave the rest at home, and then bring everything in the original bottle. Questions? More questions about packing. Here we go. I feel like I'm auctioning again. It's not the place for flashbacks. Yep.
When you guys are at the parks,
Yeah.
are the buses going to be still running? Drew has insulin, so. Okay.
So now I know Drew has to keep the insulin at a certain temperature, correct? Okay, so how about we discuss afterwards options, and that way we can make sure that we're planning appropriately for that. Great, thank you. Right down front in the middle here. Let's get Ike involved. Nice job. Well done, Ike. Proud of you, bud.
The size of the carry-on bags, like what can they be?
So I would sort of liken it to like if we've ever flown, something that can sit underneath the seat or in the overhead bin. So the buses do have like overhead bins that slide up and down. So I would say like a duffel bag size would be like a good place to start. Some kids have been saying, well, I think I'm going to take a backpack as well. That's fine, as long as the backpack isn't like human sized and that we like fit another individual in there. So if it can sit underneath the seat and or go up in the overhead, we're in good shape. Other packing questions? And of course, and we're going to go over here, as of course, please email if something you get home and you're like, oh, I should have asked him that question. Obviously, send me an email anytime and I'll get back to you just as soon as I need to. Okay? All right. Angie, go ahead.
So with the stuff that they bring to carry on, if they have a pillow and a blanket and stuff like that, in addition to, say, if you pack a carry-on suitcase or
Yeah,
backpack,
the pillow and the blanket don't have to fit in the carry-on. That can be brought on separate. That's a great question. So your child shows up, carry-on, maybe a backpack or a purse, pillow, blanket. Okay, bag o' groceries. I would ask not necessarily the bag o' groceries. Try to get it to fit in the carry-on. Additionally, anything that's a beverage, please get something with a lid so that we don't have like the river o' pop underneath the seats, like on the way down or back, because that's just going to get somebody else's stuff mucked up. Okay, so to the best of your abilities, try to find those beverage containers that will close. And obviously no glass, yeah. Okay. Beverages going once. Or no, sorry, beverages going. I'm not taking orders, by the way, just letting you know that. Nice try. You sit down, okay. Yes?
Hey, so I feel like Mr. Ely's being very generous as far as like a carry-on and a backpack and all of these things. Keep in mind this space is very limited, and so if every kid brought in a carry-on and a backpack plus their bag on the bottom of the bus plus our instruments, we would not have room for kids. So keep that in mind. And so think about what is it that I'm going to carry, like the toothbrush and a change of clothes for the next day is really all you want to have in that carry-on, as well as a couple of bigger snacks and beverages or whatever. And then we would recommend bringing like an empty like drawstring bag or something like that for you to actually take on the days when we're going to the parks to keep your sunscreen with you, to keep a water bottle or whatever. So just don't you want to be able to pack the bulk of your stuff in your suitcase that's going in and under the carriage to start with, okay?
Additionally, nobody's carrying your suitcase for you, right? So, like Ava Gibbs, you're going to bring that like monstrosity, but you're in charge of it. So, like, please consider that. Your courteousness of others around you, as Mrs. Thompson kind of alluded to, it has to be considered as well, right? You come with all your things, and somebody else who won't speak up because they're super nice is going to be like, oh, I'll just, and so it's our space. We mentioned that a little bit earlier. That bus is our space, and it's our space for the entirety of our trip. We don't change buses anywhere. That's your ride. Yeah, that was one of the items that we suggested you pack is a beach towel for the beach, and because that's not till day 3, I think, in the suitcase is probably sufficient for that. We'll talk about getting sand out of everything before we go. Okay, I think we've kind of maybe gone past what we need to pack, so let's talk about specific days of trip. Does anybody have any questions about any of the specific activities that we'll be doing while we're on the trip, or any of those types of details that you'd like a little clarification? If we could get Cheryl hooked up with a microphone.
On the day, I think it was Wednesday, when you said some can stay back at the hotel and some can go into town, do they have a restaurant for kids to eat dinner, or are they going to have to order?
The question might be like at the hotel.
At the hotel
Is there?
for people that stay there. Yeah, like, so they're prepared? Okay. Okay.
The way Corey explained it to me, it's the hotel, the parking lot, and like downtown or Old Town Kissimmee. So, I mean, we literally are probably like a 9-iron away from it. Okay. Jenna in the middle. It's a golfing reference, by the way. Brody, I'm not sure if you picked that up. Okay.
Okay, so for people that just want to go from the hotel really fast and go down to Old Town Kissimmee and then like just get food and come back, do we need a chaperone to do that?
So
Or are we
we'll
allowed to just
discuss
go?
that as a chaperone group. I envision that like some of us will stay back if that's what folks need and want, and some will go downtown, and then we will let you know how that's going to look. Okay. Go.
On the days that they're at the park, how many check-in times will they have a day with their chaperone?
Probably 2 to 3. And then also electronically, each of the chaperones is going to have a most comfortable way that they're going to be communicating with their tribe, so to speak. If you're with me, I'll go ahead and give you my cell phone number, and then kids can just text me if they needed something. That won't replace a check-in visually with me. I'll still require that they come to me at a certain time at a certain place, but I'm not going to burden them with come every hour on the hour. We'll give you, 2 to 3 depending upon, when we arrive. Like the first day we get to Hollywood Studios, we may do 2 just because we don't get there till a little bit later in the morning. But then on the days when we're there all day, we may do a little more frequently. Great question. Thank you, Kenya.
So on the days that they're at the park with the meal vouchers, is that just one meal? Will they be on their own for the other then?
It'll be one meal, yes. Now on the backs of the vouchers, as I think I've kind of explained, it'll give you all of the restaurants that are eligible for those vouchers. They are it's like a nice meal, right? So there's a lot of those restaurants in the parks where you can go and get a meal, and it's not just like the walk-up counter type of stuff. Some of the restaurants in the parks don't accept those. I'm thinking of like Magic Kingdom, if you wanted to go into the castle and eat lunch, or those character experiences that might be inside might not always be part of the vouchers. So we're just going to we'll coach you through that, kiddos. I did it again, I'm sorry. We'll coach you through that and let you sort of know, and then we'll be available to answer your questions about all of that. One piece that right down here, and then there's one piece that I forgot to mention that I really want to put into place here. Thank you.
So, how can we link tickets to Magic Bands we currently have?
Can I have you give him?
All right, so a lot has changed since 2020. It's now called the Genie Plus, and I'm going to send all that information out on Monday. We don't want you to link tickets to the app, because what we're doing is you have to have reservations each and every single day into the park to keep occupancy at a level. So if you do link it, it could upset those reservations, and it could be detrimental. So you have to wait until the day of to make any. I think you get up to 2 attractions that you can jump up in line. All that information will be sent out, including any mask mandates, anything. They've laxed everything. The Disney Genie is complimentary, but the Disney Genie Plus is actually $15 per person a day. Again, you'll have all that Monday in a message.
So, if we're also there and we want to take our kid to eat with us or go on a couple attractions, are we able to do that and meet up with you to let you know we're taking?
Absolutely. Just give us a heads up as to when you're thinking. I would prefer to meet up in person if it's doable, particularly if you're going to take your child out of the park. If you're not intending to take your child out of the park, you're going to be meeting us at the parks, is that what you're saying? Then that's fine. I have no problem with that. It would be if, we're going to take our child to Blizzard Beach because that's where we're staying. I would want to meet up and have a conversation beforehand just so that we know where your child's at. Does that make sense? Great, thank you. Oh boy, this will be a good one. Hi, Georgia.
So for like the catered meal and places where meals are on our own, are like food allergies taken into account?
I believe that every restaurant will make accommodations for food allergies, so gluten, dairy intolerance, those types of things. I think you just have to make sure you're indicating that when you go to order something. The buffet, yeah, and the buffet as well. I know we have some peanut allergies that are a couple that are relatively severe, so we may want to look ahead to the hotel to make sure that they're not. Okay. On that same note, students, we've been talking about this a little bit, but as far as what you bring with you on the bus, please leave anything containing peanuts out of what you're bringing onto the bus. Just please don't. Other trip details. Go ahead, right up front here. Yeah, they'll be basically a general area. No, it's. I mean, like we'll have like I'm assuming like an area where we'll go into at Cocoa Beach and just kind of hunker down on. Right. It's a long beach, so we're gonna say like, hey, you can't go. Like we'll give you a perimeter. Go this far this way, this far this way. So on that note, we did look up a little bit in terms of Cocoa Beach. Lifeguards go on duty Easter weekend, which is right after we leave. So we just need you to know that. We want to be up front that like there are not the trained lifeguards on duty at Cocoa Beach. The ocean is not the Anamosa pool. So if you don't consider yourself a super strong swimmer, then that should indicate to you how far out into the water you would want to go. If you are, you think you're a strong swimmer, just know that it's not the same as swimming in a pool or a lake. That is something that we need you to be super aware of. As chaperones, we will be kind of at the water's edge, sort of looking and watching, but we just need you to be sort of humble, if you will, about your ability in the water. If you've never been in the ocean before, take baby steps literally and find out sort of what it feels like and how it sort of like reacts and how it's different maybe than what you expected, and then you know you can gauge from there. But like that's something that you have to gauge on your own. We can't really say okay friends, come with me. You have to decide on your own like how far out you're gonna go, and then certainly nobody's gonna swim to Cuba. Like we're not doing that on this trip. Okay, that's not this trip. Okay, yeah. For a variety of reasons.
What would the fitness at the hotel be like?
What will fitness at? I'll tell you, my fitness is going to be terrible. Okay, so the question, I think somebody else asked me this question. I believe there is a fitness room with just like a couple of like treadmills and maybe like couple elliptical bikes. Not a whole lot that we can do about that. I would ask you not to go out on a run around the neighborhood. I will not go with. Say again? Like I'm too old? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, there could be limit, and I don't know what time of the day that the fitness area opens either. We'll have to figure that out when we get there. Yep.
Thank you. Do we need to send masks or a vaccination card?
I don't believe that there's any need to send a vaccination card. I would recommend everybody bring a mask just because of how quickly things can change. That is not expected, but then nothing we've experienced over the course of the last 24 months has been expected either. So it would be a great idea for everybody to have a mask packed in the event that something in terms of their expectations changes while we're en route even, right? Like we leave on a Sunday and it's one way and we get down there and we find out it's a little different. So while I didn't put it on that packing list, I probably should have, and it would be a good idea for everybody to pack a mask. Cheryl.
But in regards to when you go to the ocean, do you know if there's showers there at all? There is?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
because
we're
I just know that one of my kids, not the one that's going, but just for people that haven't been at the ocean, some people come out, they don't have a rash while they're in there, but then when they come out, about 15, 20 minutes later, they get a rash from all the salt, so it's best to rinse off.
yeah, and we're certainly going to want everybody to do that before we get on the bus. It's not like a sugar scrub where like you're going to shine because of all the sand in your pants, okay? So like be thoughtful of that. Plus everything that goes on the bus stays on the bus, right? It's like a sandbox, Caleb. No, it's not. It's not okay. It's not okay. Leave the shovel and the pail at home, kiddo. I'm a trip ruiner. That's me. Yes, ma'am.
I see Coach Weir sitting back there, but the boys have a track meet on Saturday, so if you get delayed for travel, are you going to let us know?
Like the Saturday we get back?
Yeah, the Friday you get back. We have a meet that next day.
The next day?
Yeah.
Absolutely, we'll let you know. If for some reason we don't anticipate arriving when we say we are, we will definitely be in touch. Which is a great plug, and I will definitely post it. Again, the Remind group messaging system that we use, parents, we certainly want you to be a part of that as well. Making sure that that's how we'll message out. So that would be exactly how I would. I mean, I wouldn't be the only way, but like it's the quickest way for me to get up on my phone and say, hey, we're early, so see you soon. Or hey, it's looking like it's going to be more like 11. I'm sure you all don't want to wait in cars for hours for us to return. So we'll try to be as transparent about arrival time as possible. Mikola. Oh, way to go, Grayson. Ike was being lazy, didn't want to walk that far.
So if we apply sunscreen like no other and we run out, is there like a thing?
We'll take care of you, not a problem.
But if we have like really sensitive skin and we break out like with certain ear meats?
Let us know ahead of time so that maybe we can prepare for that. Okay. Bring double what you think you're going to need. Yes, sir.
I guess my question was like a recommendation on students paying for things like cash or what ways?
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, and you know your kid best and what they are, what will best suit them. So cash obviously can't be tracked as easily as like a prepaid Visa or a debit or a credit card. So that's just going to be a conversation that I think you'll have to decide as a family what works best for you. Certainly I would recommend that if a student, or anybody for that matter, is bringing cash, to not have the entirety of their cash wad on them at all times, other than the trip down, obviously. Take only what you think one would need during the day. With prepaid visas, like sometimes those do work really nicely because then you know how much is on it, you can track it. Back in the day, it was traveler's checks, right? Like, I don't think those even exist anymore. If they do, who the hell uses a check anymore? So that just might be something that you either explore with your bank, you explore with wherever you do your financial business and find out what might work for you. You should have plenty of time between now and when we leave to get kind of some settled up. Traveler's cards at Fidelity. Okay. You laugh at them, LOL, and then don't reload it. Is that what I heard you say? Yep. LOL, nice try, Giselle. Oh my God, it rhymed again. Giselle. What the hell? Okay. How many times a day do you hear that, honestly? Okay. It is 5:43, and I have been like, okay, shocking, but yes, we'll get to your question in just a second. I do understand that folks have other obligations, and so I'm not offended if you have to get up and go. I am not offended if you have had enough of me and need to go. Cue the Reese family. No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. I certainly understand that. So let's take a couple more questions. And then again, if you do have a medication situation and you're not sure, you would want to grab one of each of these papers before you leave tonight. I just want to remind you all of that. Jenna, go.
Okay, so I have two questions. But the first one is, for people driving to the school, is it okay if we leave our cars here all week?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, and then do you know the mask policy at Disney that they have, like, at least right now?
I just posted a document today that had the genie stuff on it. On the bottom of the second page is their current mask requirement, which I believe, which you can go on and read. Yeah. So, and I did email. I included that in the attachment that I emailed today as well. You have a question? Oh, okay. You're running? Got it. I get it. I know. I want to run out of here too, brother. I get you. I will stay up here for a short while if you have an individual question that you were too embarrassed to ask. Again, medication forms. If you're unsure, just go ahead and submit it, and then somebody will be in touch with you about what you'll need. Other than that, thank you very much.